on the other side of the country, mind you. You say to yourself, if that's going to be the big draw because he played there in college, get out of here. I mean, He's got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with two other top 10, top 15 players serving to make a serious run at something special. I don't care what kind of accolades Sam Smith or whoever.
That's what I'm saying.
Jesus Christ could have reported this story, and I wouldn't believe it.
Well, I got to tell you, you may be onto something with hell freezing over because we're 10 weeks into the season and the Browns are in first place. So hell may be free. That may not have been the best example, but so you're right. You're dead on, and I agree. And for people that go, well, anybody leave Cleveland, go. I saw that in one of the articles. Anybody will play for a loser in L.A. instead of a winner in Cleveland. I said that might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Listen, so he's going to go to L.A., right? Because somebody told me, I was having this conversation with a listener yesterday. Well, Kobe's going to retire, and they're going to turn it over to Love. I said, well, that's great. So they're going to turn their 22 win, because that's what they're going to win this year, is about 22 to 25 games with Kobe Bryant leading the way. I'm telling you, man, they don't have anything happening over there. But Kevin Love's going to go there so that he can lose for 3 or 4 years with the Lakers to eventually get them good, to eventually get back to where he just walked into in Cleveland without having to do anything. Listen, if you guys, again, I told people yesterday, if you want to buy that swampland that I've got, because I have got some prime real estate for you. Get it before it sells out. We need to talk about that, man. And I think we wasted too much time talking about this. Here's something I do want to ask you. Hey, this thing's ridiculous how it got. Dion Waiters talking about bad media, incredible reports, all of that stuff. This stuff over the weekend, I told people on Monday when we came on the air, I said, well, according just to the Cleveland Plain Dealer, not even according to anybody else, I got 3 different stories over the weekend from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. I said, I don't know which one it is. I don't know if Dion Waiters missed the national anthem because he was in the bathroom. I don't know if he missed the national anthem because he was praying in the locker room. I don't know if he missed the national anthem because he had religious opposition to things in Utah, because I heard all 3 stories. They literally kept correcting themselves over the weekend and putting out another story and then having to correct that version of it. I still don't know what the deal was with Dion Waiters and the national anthem. Do you?
No. Try again.
No. Exactly.
Jerry, the thing about Dion is really ever since he's been here in Cleveland, I mean, he is a guy that thrives under controversy. He does want to get in your mind when he's on the floor. He does want to play that in-your-face style of basketball, which is all fine and dandy, but he's the exact same person off the court that he is on the court, and I think that's really the problem for the whole situation. Is going to be exactly the same way off of the floor that he is on the floor, and it is creating some smaller distractions for this team trying to pursue a championship here. And really, I mean, there's been all kind of questions surrounding him and if he can get along with Kyrie, if they can even play on the floor at the same time. I think really that's why you see Dion much more explosive off the bench than as a starter, because, I mean, we talked about it in the past with Tristan Thompson and Anderson Varejao. It really does not matter one way or the other if you're in the starting lineup or if you're on the bench. If you're out there playing, you're going to be effective in one way or another. And, I mean, with Dion, when he starts, he's clearly not effective because he's having to share the floor with not ball hoggers per se, but guys that need plenty of shots to get into their rhythm. And once they find that rhythm, it's a dominant one. So, I really have no idea what to make of this Dion Waiters scenario. I know that the word trade has been brought up in the first 2 years that Dion was here, and who knows, it might rear its ugly head once again in year 3 for Dion Waiters in Cleveland.
Well, that's somewhere I was thinking about taking this conversation here in a minute. So, yeah, definitely keep that cooking. But because that's, well, you know what? Let's just go there since we're on that. And, again, I like Dion Waiters. I like him on defense. If he embraces. And, the story, hey, man, the story is that Deion is the one that asked to go to the bench here because he could feel that it wasn't working for him. And I don't think it's as team concept as it sounds, as much as he realized that in this offense, the better spot for him to shine would be coming off of the bench because there would just be less usage players on the floor. So I think some of that was a selfish decision, but he's the one that went and said, hey, man, I can help this team better coming off the bench. And I do like the concept of that. That defense coming off the bench can be good, and I like that. But that's one of, not just Deion, because it's easy for people to jump and pick on him, but if you're David Griffin and you've watched now through this first stretch of the season, and again, you don't make snap decisions, but one thing that I think David Griffin's job is for the next 2 months is to look at what he may be able to add or tweak to this team at the midway point of the season once he knows what he may or may not need or what he would like to add. Because I think that, as we know, this is a work in progress. That doesn't just mean these guys growing together, but much like last year, whether it's finding a deal for a center like Spencer Hawes or that one, I'm not even talking about a big piece, just a piece that you go, wow, that's the one that really made it all kind of fit together. So what do you think David Griffin's seeing, just in your opinion, of what he's seen so far? Because I mentioned that road trip to me was a slice of how you want to see this team over 3 games, from bad to improving to figured it out by the third one, and you could literally see course correction going on during that 3-game stretch. And then you came back home and you saw almost a complete game performance there and a bit of a slice for the first time at what they can do once they get this thing rolling.
Well, Jerry, and again, in the early going of David Griffin's career as intern GM last season, he made 2 pretty aggressive moves to try to put the Cavaliers in a better position, and I have no reason not to believe that he's going to do the same thing again this year, just based on the position that the Cavaliers are in. You can always improve a roster. It doesn't matter who is on this team. There are small, like you said, tweaks that you can make to just tighten the bolts a little bit in spots where, you might have a loose bolt here and there or so. And, Deion could potentially be a part of that. It just kind of depends on, his relationship with Griffin and Griffin, how he sees Deion in his eyes. I know that Griffin is a big Deion Waiters fan. But again, locker room presence is a pretty important aspect of the NBA, and I don't think that any GM in the right mind in this league would potentially risk spoiling fellowship in the locker room to have a player like Deion Waiters, who at this point is really their 4th scoring option on this team. So keep a close eye on the trading block for the next 2 months and see what the Cavs are going to do if they move Deion, if they kept him. They've talked about trading him in the past. They talked about it year 2. They talked about it year 1 as well, and it didn't happen. Who knows? Maybe year 3 is a charm. Maybe they keep him and he gets it right. Who knows? There's a lot of different.
I got to be honest. I think that that's very likely. I know he's stubborn. I was joking with a friend the other day. I said, Kyrie can be neutered by LeBron, and I don't mean that as bad as it sounds, but he's got the personality that when they butt heads, I do believe that he will back down enough, not in a bad way, and we're seeing it, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but we've seen the 2 games after what happened in Portland. You saw the blatant adjustment for the first time in his life of the style of basketball that Kyrie played. LeBron made we talked about it last week, made a very blatant point by not doing much of anything and standing around and watching Kyrie and Deion do their thing the next 2 games. Matter of fact, I saw Kyrie overpassing a bit the other night. He drove to the lane and had a basket and chose to make one more pass, and I'm like, see, now he's at that point where he's got to figure out the fine line between when to attack and when to pass, but you can see a difference in the mindset. Now, there's going to be bad habits that he's going to slip back into, but I think now he is seeing that the niche that he's going to fit in and how he's going to be the point guard on this team. Same thing with Dion. I hold out hope. I don't want him traded. I don't care. We can find a way to get whatever we need. I'm not sitting here going, hey, let's trade Dion Waiters, because I don't like him with that starting group. I like him being the motor coming off the bench, whether it's with Tristan or Anderson, whichever's the other big that's not starting that particular game. Those are two energy guys that can come off together. And I think, too, I like the way Dion and Dellavedova work together when they're in the game together, too. So I think Dion would be the key cog in that second team, and I would much rather just see him. I was joking with a buddy, though. I said, while Kyrie could be neutered, Dion's the one that'll look back at LeBron and go, hey, man, F you, bro. Hey, look, man, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your name is. I'm Dion Waiters. And then, so it would be different, but he could still be molded to change his style. I just think he'll be, like you said, he likes confrontation. He'll be much more confrontational about it than Kyrie. Kyrie will go introspective, and then he'll, pout a little bit and then deal with it on the court. Whereas Dion will just say, what's your name? I don't care what your name is. My name's Dion Waiters. I got shoes too, man. I'm not worried about it. But it could all end up for the best. I want to see Dion become that key cog coming off the bench for this team.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that they like the most about Dion Waiters is that he does bring a swagger to the locker room, and that is really something that a winning team is going to need. I mean, not that LeBron doesn't bring that to the table, but Dion's got it from more of a role player's perspective. Now, in terms of playing Dion Waiters on the bench, the one thing that makes, whatever you do with Dion less than perfect is that, odds are David Blatt is probably not going to sit Kyrie, LeBron, and Love all at the same time. So Dion, pretty much no matter what situation you're in the game, Dion is going to have to play with at least one of those guys, probably two. Seeing in the first 6 games that all 3 of those guys have played upwards of, a minimum of 35 minutes. I think just about all of them, except for Kevin Love, played 40 in the Pelicans game earlier on Monday. So I don't really think that Dion can necessarily get away from sharing the ball with the big 3. But again, having him come off of the bench when at least one of them is sitting and maybe 2, still probably the best role for him as a high-energy guy who can score with the ball, going to the rim. He has come a long way in terms of fighting off of screens, being effective without the ball. But, again, Dion is a guy that at the end of the day, he wants the ball in his hands. And if he does get the ball in his hands, he can be pretty effective. I mean, this is one of the better bench scoring players in this league, and it's a luxury for the Cavs to have, and I think it would be a darn shame if they were to spoil it by trading him just because of the personality that he has.
I'm telling you, I've said it before, I'll say it right here with you, Eddie. People think that Kyrie is the project that LeBron's most focused on. I think he knows. You guys got to realize, LeBron is not leaving. I don't care about that one-year contract thing. He boxed himself into a corner with the way he came back to Cleveland. He's not leaving. Neither is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie knows at the end of the day, he committed 5 years of his life to staying here. It's in contract, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So his mindset about working with LeBron is going to be better. People act like it's going to be this big, like you heard the other day with the blow up about, no, he's very pragmatic. He knows that for the next 5 years, those two have to coexist to make this thing work. So I think LeBron's project and the one that he will be proudest of is Dion Waiters. You could see him talk about it a bit the other day, and I mentioned it. That one play where him and Dion played the 2-man defense up in the front court. LeBron almost got the steal. Then Dion jumped the passing lane, swiped the pass, dunked the ball down at the other end of the court, and gave that roar as he did it because he was frustrated. But that's that same 2-man defense that Wade and James at their best could play together. And I think LeBron, he's a very smart basketball player. He's very intrigued by that, and I think he knows what Dion Waiters can do once they can get this thing going. And I saw that. I saw them starting to get a little chemistry where I said, man, I'm telling you, everybody says it's Kyrie and LeBron. They're going to make that thing work because they don't have any choice. Dion and LeBron, that